and we have a final little discussion based on what we discussed today. So can I have Alessandro, Michael, Francisco, and Eliel? Can you please join the throne here? So thank you very much. So I've got a few questions, but before we start, maybe if you can quickly remind the audience who you are. So your name and the company or the structure you work for. So shall we start with Michael at the end?
Okay, so my name is Michael Odintsov.
Can you speak next to the microphone?
Yeah. Sorry. My name is Michael Odintsov. I run a startup company called Regrowth that specializes in precision livestock farming in everything that is not dairy cow. So whatever we do. And also, and we build our own experimental farm to actually get the farmers better. We're located in Italy, and that's it.
My name is Alessandro Mazette from Sardinia. I represent Consorzio per la tutela dell'IGP di Sardegna. We represent 5,000 farmers in Sardinia. We produce light lamb for. We are the best producer in Italy from milky lamb, and now we're looking for the market for the other country like Spain, like France, Germany, because our goal is the export maybe 50% of our production all of the world. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eliel Gonzalez. I'm a researcher at INRAE in France. I am based at Montpellier in the south. I work for a research unit that develop research basically in Mediterranean and tropical countries. My specialization is nutrition and metabolism, but I work a little bit with a farming system approach. And in the scope of take care, I have been basically working in these environments, Mediterranean, but applying some technologies for the welfare issues that we have. Basically with a small ruminant model, because we work with all ruminants. Thank you.
My name is Francisco. I'm from Sevilla in Spain. I represent SOSEIN. It's a company specialized in telecom system, manufacturing of cabinets, in the development of technology. My scope in tech care has been supporting Gerardo Caja and the University of Barcelona in the development of THA care application.
Thank you. So I'm sure you've got some questions, but I've got one to start, and I don't know who would want to start answering that. Based on what we've heard and seen today, how do you think, in your opinion, how can we go from that prototype innovation towards a marketable product? Probably a big question. Who wants to start?
So I start, because it's something that I've been working the last couple of years. To go from a concept prototype that works, you need a company. And the companies need funding. Usually you get it traditionally, but because we're talking about big investments, startups, we go towards the venture capital, the agri-food tech. And in this sector, we are surprisingly uncompetitive because we work with agri-tech, so it's already a small niche. We work with animals, it's even a smaller niche, and we work with hardware, which is something that investors don't really like. And the truth of the matter is that if you're now launching a vegan cheese alternative or a sugar-free ice cream, you have 10 times, 20 times more chance to get funding, million euros of funding, than real-life technology. The good part is everybody wants farm data. Farmers want it, everybody understands that automated last-mile data collection is the only way to actually do something. So what I think the biggest challenge going to be is explain the funders, either banks, governments, subsidies, or venture capitals, that it's worth the investment over time to get a real solution instead of keeping investing in short-term results.
Okay, Eliel, do you want to say something about that? Yeah.
Yeah, from my point of view, but I am naive and not at all specialized in the field, but I have the feeling that the first thing is that we have, under research condition, to really actually finish the prototype in the way that the end user and the farmer have to receive a real finalized product and easy to use. Sometimes we forget that, and the farmer is not a mathematician. It will don't do nothing with tons of data. They just want final and practical information. That is the first thing. And the other thing is that you can finalize a very nice prototype on the research condition, but this gap between the research, the academia, and the profession, the field is not technical, it's political solution. And pass by trying the big problem for me is price. You can have wonderful results, but the small ruminant sector is poor farmers that sometimes don't have money even for doing the ABC of the farm. And in that, just to fill this gap and to reduce price, for me, a lot of negotiation, including all the stakeholders, government, support from the government, this is my point of view.
Yeah. Alessandro, do you want to come in on that point?
Yeah. Refer to innovation, see. But for me, for our system, innovation now is not a choice, but is a data. It's a data for farmer because is the use of innovation is to guarantee better life for the animal, because our mission is to guarantee better life for our animal before the slaughtering, before everything. Today, more than ever, consumer call to the farmer to have information about the system of the farm, the system of the type of breed the sheep. We have the data to improve our information to the market. Our information is, I think about the data. Data now is the most important, come si dice, importante cosa che noi abbiamo.
Greatest value.
Greatest value from the farmer. And in the future, I think for the sheep farm, use of sensor is the most important technology for guarantee information for the market. Okay. I think about this, not for guarantee just the better life for animal, but to guarantee our products to the market, the consumer, e to improve our, come si dice, la nostra reputazione.
La reputation, to improve the reputation.
To improve our reputation, because we are now good, but we have to dare delle informazioni utili. Cioè
give a real value information.
Relevant for the consumer. Grazie.
Okay, thank you, Alessandro.
Claro.
Francisco, do you want to come in and then?
There is a comment, okay?
Okay.
After Francisco.
Okay, Francisco.
Yes, well, as I see the sector, it's at the end, if we study the farmers as our client, that at the end they are very practical people, in my experience during this time. And in the case of this project, I see it has been very interesting. For example, in the case of THA care, I remember 1 year ago when we go to the farmers, and in the north of Spain, for example, we work with a group of around 20 farmers, and we started to talk about THA and whatever. They weren't realize about which was the real influence of the humidity and temperature, the stress and everything. During this year, Gerardo and the different teams has been published results, and now we know that from a threshold, the production in milk is going to repercute in a reduction of 20% or whatever, and then we can start to talk about money. That at the end is what they are talking to. What do I want to say with that? At the same time, they are people that they are not related with technology, and even it's something that for them it's boring and disgusting. So as simple as we keep it, we are going to be able to connect with them more. Okay, now, which is the situation from my point of view? We are in a point where they really need the automatization and the sensorization of the sector, but at the same time, they have been receiving during many years different solutions that they have been promising that this is the final solution, and it hasn't been. So, in the innovation with farmers, as I see it, I think we have to go step by step with clear results and with commitment with them, because they are also at the same time people that once they get you, they want to continue with you at a similar price, they don't want surprise or whatever. So as I see innovation in this sector, it's just step by step with solutions that will work. And in my case, for example, I see they are able to invest money once they trust on you, but we cannot be promising things that we cannot fulfill.
Thank you, Francisco.
Jan, I do
Yeah.
comment that to stress importance of technical backup, even once a PLF tool has been proven and commercialized.
Sorry, say again.
Okay. Stress importance of technical backup, even once a PLF tool has been proven and commercialized. I don't know if he means technical backup as the assistance to users,
Yes.
support.
I think it's
the support.
Yeah. So just have more support even for tools that are
Yes.
recognized. Yeah.
Yes, because even in our pilot farm, for example, we experienced a problem with some PLF tool, and sometimes the assistance is not really.
Yeah, that's true. I think that what it means is once you buy, for example, a weigh crate, then you get your nice true test, whatever weigh head, and then it breaks in the middle of you weighing your sheep, and there is no help. And it's something that we discuss indeed with the UK farmer, is a lack of after-sales help and advice. So I don't know if you want to say anything about that as well.
Yeah, it's an incentive. A company is measured by how many systems it sold. And we use these metrics to get more funding. The metrics that the funders don't really measure is how is the service and how is the retention and the quality. So if you're a young startup and you launch the product, you're incentivized to just sell it and not waste money on this support. The problem is you do it once, you do it twice, it's okay. 3, 4, you have a bad reputation, nobody buys from you, and then a couple of years later, you're out of the market. And we've seen different companies doing this cycle in the last couple of years. So it's a skewed incentive that leads to failure even when the core product is, solid enough.
Does any of you on the panel want to comment on that, or you agree?
Yes, for example, before that we commented about the business model and the subscription model. That is where I see very clear the subscription. When you have to sell first the equipment, but you have to sell it, not through a subscription. For example, when we subscribe to Netflix, we have both before a television. Then we have the subscription, and then we contain the service. So it's true, and for example, with the milking machines, they have very clear that they have to be offering that service in the maintenance and everything, and they have a response in 24 hours. So in our case, we need to continue supplying the same services.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Alessandro. Yeah.
Chiedo a Michael di tradurre perché...
I'll do the real life translation.
Grazie. Ci tenevo comunque a sottolineare, dopo questi 4 anni che ho seguito TechR in modo comunque continuo, anche se non ho partecipato, sono sempre stato comunque collegato e ho seguito tutta la vostra esperienza.
I want to outline that in this last 4 years, even if I didn't have a very active role, I was very present and followed the development process of each one of the groups.
La cosa più importante, secondo me, da raccontare agli allevatori su questo progetto è che voi non avete cambiato il loro modo di allevare da questo punto di vista, non siete entrati in azienda per modificare completamente i loro sistemi o il loro modo di fare, ma per registrare dei dati che possono servire per migliorare poi le loro produzioni e il benessere degli animali.
The most important message to farmers that the work done in this project was not to disrupt or change the already existing lifestyle and work of the farmers, but to integrate what they already do with the data that they already should be collecting, even if in different ways, and this is the real value.
Soprattutto in sistemi estensivi come quello della Sardegna, ma penso anche alla Svezia, alla Norvegia, alla Scozia. È importante che i sensori comunque presenti sul campo diano informazioni precise e soprattutto puntuali agli allevatori anche su quello che è lo stato degli animali in quel momento.
So in extensive systems such as Sardinia, but Scotland, Norway, any other place as well, it's very important that the data the systems provide is precise for the condition they face there.
Dopo tanti anni di macellazioni, pesi degli agnelli e il resto, io scopro da professor Kasia che durante il trasporto perdiamo il 4% del peso degli agnelli. Per noi sono 3 milioni di euro che noi lasciamo sulla strada e questo è un qualcosa che mi rimane nel cuore e che cercherò di organizzare meglio nella nostra filiera e lo ringrazio pubblicamente. Grazie.
So for example, after years of waiting and measuring lambs, he discovered from Professor Kaya that they lose 4% of body weight of lambs in the transport phase, which for their consortium means 3 million euros a year. So this is money that were supposed to go to the farmer and instead was dropped, and he's going to look for a solution to solve this problem because it's just a big waste.
Ringrazio Claire, ringrazio tutti e vi annuncio che prossimamente il Consorzio organizzerà un convegno sul benessere animale dove inviterò chi vuol venire a parlare di benessere animale anche agli allevatori sardi e perché no, convincerli a inserire questa ricerca, questi risultati della ricerca nei loro allevamenti. Vi ringrazio tanto.
So he thanks Claire and all of you for the participation. He wanted to announce that soon they're going to organize a welfare-focused conference for the Sardinian farmers, and you're all invited as speakers, participants, to increase this type of awareness, and he thanks you again for the participation.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. That's nice to see that some of the work that we've used and done is really useful for the industry, so it's very good feedback. Thank you. And I'm sure my colleague feels the same, so thanks. Any other question for the panel? If not, I've got another one. Anything from the chat? No. So I think my last question is maybe a difficult one to answer as well. So we've heard about all these innovation and how they're useful, but the question is, how can we encourage the technology industry to invest in tech for small ruminants? Because it's easy for dairy cows, or easier, but how do you think, in your opinion, we convince these technology companies to build things for sheep and goats? Anybody wants to start? Michael, yeah?
Okay, I'll start and then Francisca as well. I'm struggling with this for the last 4 years. So fundraising for especially sheep and goat, because the first thing I heard when I was fundraising is digital extensive, go for the industrial. There is not enough money in extensive. Even if you scale, it doesn't worth it. So go for an industrial farm, in my case, poultry farms, and do it there. A year later, after trying the pivot, I came back to the investor and said, intensive farms are too cumbersome. The decision-making process is too long. I much prefer to work with 10 or 100 small farmers that have a decision-making based on family, on like yes or no in a couple of weeks, than a huge industrial project that takes 1 year for decision-making through the commission. So there is an advantage in being small. And the second is what Alessandro is doing. They have a huge consortium with international standing that aggregates the small farms together. And this is a Italian excellency food, so it has a very strong position on the market. And in this case, you're talking with investors, you're talking with fundraisers, not for the lonely farm on a hill, but for a consortium that has a representative all across the world. And how much is the turnover of the consortium?
68 million a year.
So this justifies any investor or businessman to invest in this tech. You say you don't selling 2,000 for a farmer. You're selling for 68 million of revenue a year.
Yeah. Francisco?
Yes, it's his conclusion. His conclusion at the end is a question of volume, because you have to maintain a structure. So once you have the portfolio of clients, then you can justify all the research and development of the technology.
So is it, and maybe Eliel, we can talk about that, is it maybe our role as researcher and showing the potential that are available to just maybe make a stronger point that the market we're working for is actually a big one? I don't know. What do you think, Eliel? Oh.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think that we have a role to play in that, in convincing the industry that the small ruminant sector is not a negligible sector, that is interesting, and we have to put forward, I think, and to take advantage of some advantage that we have in our extensive system linked to problematic that are in the agenda today, like climate change, agroecology transition, farming system, etc. I think that we have to be organized in this incentive to the private companies to get inspired, and there is a little bit of marketing, just to convince.
Paul, do you want, and then Germain. Lisa, can you give the, sorry. So go ahead, yeah.
It's just a comment, really. Numerically, small ruminants, huge numbers across the world, globally. With the development of precision livestock farming and making it an affordable project, the business model becomes a critical part of persuading people to invest in our future. And the possibilities that we've raised are limitless. But the critical thing is having a business model that works, that shows that there is a potential for return on investment in this field.
Yeah, and that goes back to some of the question, Eliel, you had earlier about the cost of the war and, for example, and what are the other benefits compared to that? I don't know if you want to comment on Paul's. Do you want
Me and Eliel. Comment on the costs of that?
Or what Paul just said, you know.
Yeah, because the transition from TRL 6 or 7, which usually what the university do, you take a basic concept, you develop it, you try it, you put it in field, and you say, okay, it works. This is about TRL 6 to 7. The transition from TRL 6 to 7 to TRL 9, which is a mature product, is no longer technical. It's all what around, how you standardize the product, how you reduce the cost, how you sell it, how you support it. And usually this is the part that is done outside of university. And it's done on funding companies and private methods. In this specific sector, I would think that most of my colleagues working on this stage would appreciate that the transition between TRL 7 to 8 would be more connected. Because in the university, in the research stage, you still have space to mistakes. It worked, it didn't work, we can retry it. In the commercial stage, if you make 1 or 2 mistakes, your company is down. And when your company is down, you're sold. And the next company that will uptake the product will need to convince all the other investors why are they better than you, which is again an uphill battle.
Germain? Yeah.
Yeah, I want also to highlight maybe a possibility. I don't know how it could be really implemented in the field, but for some equipments, not PLF, but farmers are using loaning and they share the material together. If we speak about PLF and tracking individuals, maybe it's not easy, but for some technology, maybe we can also argue this, that they can share one equipment between different farmers. And I also wanted to react on the other question regarding how we can convince or attract the investors and the company. Small ruminants are mainly, not all because there are some intensive systems, mainly using grazing area that any other animals or culture can be done on this. So there is a big argumentation, or it's not only marketing, but argumentation regarding ecosystem services, cultural heritage, popular activities, and also economy of rural areas. So that could be also a way to say that if we want to keep this, we also need to have maybe like this consortium or all the organizations who are defending the PDOs, the labels. They could invest also for the group of farmers to justify the specification they are waiting for the farmers and justify it to the consumers. So that would be a way also to do it.
Going back to what Alessandro was saying about their reputation, do you want to comment on Germain's point?
I can give an example. It's been a couple of years now talking about CO2 credits. So we know pasture, permanent pasture absorbs CO2. The number of animals, the pasture management usually doesn't emit more than what it absorbed. So in theory, if you're a sheep farmer, especially in large scale of pasture, and you maintain it, you could say, I can sell CO2 credits because I have more CO2 stored in the ground than what I emitted. It's great until you understand that without external certification, that costs money, you can't access the market. When you access the market, you need to have enough CO2 stored to justify access to the market. I think last time I checked, it was about 80 euros per ton of CO2 stored, which is for hectare, it's about 200 euros per hectare per farmer. This is more or less the balance. It's a great balance. How the farm accesses this market, this is a big challenge. Consortium could be one solution, aggregation could be another solution, automated type of data collection could be another, but currently there is a gap. So we know it's happening, we know farmers are providing this ecosystem services, we know that there is a price for this ecosystem services. It's hard to bridge the gap. If any one of you want to tackle this challenge, I think most of the farmers will appreciate it.
Anyone wants to? Yeah, Alessandro.
Sì. Dal nostro punto di vista l'unico modo, cioè uno dei modi per convincere gli investitori è dare un valore al dato. Noi dobbiamo dare un valore, dargli un prezzo. Quanto vale il dato preso nelle aziende?
So from our point of view, the best way is to convince the customer, the end customers that buy the milk, that the cost of the milk is worth it through these different types of values.
Secondo me in questo momento il prossimo approccio della ricerca sarà quello proprio di capire quanto vale per l'industria mangimistica il dato raccolto con i sensori, quanto vale per l'industria farmaceutica e soprattutto quanto vale per il pubblico anticipare con i sensori attraverso ad esempio la diagnostica preventiva l'arrivo di un'epidemiologia. Gli australiani oggi hanno un sistema che garantisce al pubblico un risparmio di 50 milioni di dollari, 100 milioni di dollari, anticipando eventuali epidemiologie con sistemi di biosicurezza nei loro porti, ad esempio. Questo deve essere il senso dell'uso del sensore in azienda, e questo che gli può dare un valore che secondo me sul mercato poi può essere speso bene.
So the challenge is to understand the value of the data we collect on the farm. For example, for feed providers, the feedback on the feed formula, or for pharmaceutical developers, the efficiency of the drug they use, or for example, the final consumer, or he means as a public, the health value solved or saved on public health via better food quality and better health management on the farm. He gives an example of Australia where they found out 5 million or 5 billion?
No,
Five,
50 o 100 milioni l'anno.
where about 100 million dollars a year are saved from the public health because they improved the welfare and the health on the farm level. So these are new areas that you need to understand the value for the farmer and see how you justify the cost of the data collection in light of these new emerging potentials markets.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
just a last thing, because I think that from my point of view, again, it's not just economy. For facing this challenge, we have a lot of environmental issues, societal pressure, and ethical issues also. I think that that is why it's not just money. I think that it is a multi-stakeholder approach solution to face all the challenge in this transition, and that is why I say that politics and governmental support, for example, are changing policies are essential beyond the economic, because at the end of the day, the farmers live with money, but I think that transition must be multi-dimensional.
Yeah, so it's not just it's not just a farm, it's everything.
Yeah.
Francisco, do you want to comment on that last point, or no? No. Okay. Any other comments you want to make?
One from the chat.
Yes.
Jan Ledoux,
Okay.
most popular. With lambs, should we be going through the meat trade or wholesalers? Don't know what he means.
It's either for me or Alessandro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Per la carne?
Sì.
Devono passare tramite il canali di GDO o commercianti di carne che aggregano?
No, passiamo tramite, noi vendiamo direttamente GDO e in grandi piattaforme nazionali.
Okay, so their consortium pass directly through the big distribution, directly supermarkets. They don't do the meat wholesalers. They go directly for the companies. I would add it really depends on the business model and the size. We sell from our experimental farm in 3 times the cost of the market directly to consumers. Yeah. And the reason we are able to justify our ecosystem services is because we educate the clients. But it works in small. To scale it up to a big production, it's going to be challenging.
Yes, could be both.
Could be both, depends on the size.
Okay.
Okay. Any last question for our panel? Or? No. Okay, well, thank you very much for your insight. Thank you. So I think that brings us to an end. So I've got final few slides just to conclude on the day and a half. But just first of all, I just want to thank you all. I think it's been really very nice discussion over the past day and a bit, and very nice to see where we're coming with that project. So just to remind you a little bit what we set out to do in Take Care. If you remember that the slide I showed yesterday, so the aim of the project was to propose innovative and cost-effective technology to improve welfare management in small ruminants, with technology adapted to the system by looking at the whole production chain, but we said only up to the abattoir, by trying to have adapted early warning system and using appropriate business model. So I think we're kind of in the green for certain things and orange in others. So we've achieved more or less everything we said. Maybe not to the, we were very ambitious we were calculated probably 7 years ago when we had the first germ of the idea of the project, and things have moved on a lot since. But I think, in my mind, we've nearly closed the circle. So just go back to the output we've done after 5 years. So as I was saying yesterday, we've got two main outputs, and our first output is really these technologies that are ready to be implemented on the farm. And I think from what we've heard in the past day and a half, we can probably say that the EID weight rate and the reader, the milk meter, individual milk meter, the milk tank weight, and the weather station, I think we can confidently say that we've managed to deliver that for a farmer. We proved that it could be used to help in welfare management, or at least welfare awareness. I think the THI Care app is nearly there or almost there. And the milking order that Ilan described this morning is still in my mind in the orange, but hopefully will be green before the end of the project. And we're still working on the weight change. So between the work that Eliel is doing and what the team of Fiona is doing as well, we should be there as well by the end of the project. And the breeder app, the things that James was showing us this morning, also is there and can be used by a farmer to record welfare scores, for example. So we can say that we do have some output. After 5 years, we managed to have this output that are nearly market ready. But we also have, and what we heard more today, we also have a range of technology that we discovered and studied that are not quite there yet. So the walkover way that Eliel presented this morning, for example, the trough AI that Ilan showed, maybe it's a bit more at the end scale of that group. The UHF platform that Florian was talking about, the Abinsula platform that Francesco was talking about, and also some of the work with the GPS collar that were mentioned by Kathy. All of these are promising technologies that some farmers already use because they are more used to work with researchers and a bit more innovative and confident into using that. And then there is the one that we think probably need a bit more work, but are still very interesting. And I think the Bluetooth technology that I presented this morning, in my mind, belongs to that category. There is still a lot of issue with it, but it is an interesting concept. And there is also things we've not really talked about much, maybe a little bit in what Kathy was talking, but we looked also at proximity logger and accelerometer, which are still very much in the realm of research or demonstration, but definitely not ready yet to be used on every sheep and goat farm in Europe. We also developed other things that not just tech. We add all of the information we got from the welfare priorities, and we've got these guidelines and the assessment that were developed in our welfare work with Kathy and her colleagues and colleague in Norway. And also by doing the transport trial, even if it was just to highlight the issues, I think it's a very useful point that were made. So, as Ilan was saying as well, I think all of this information we've uncovered for sheep and goat can also be interesting for other species, because even if it's not the same technology, the concept of doing it is still interesting and important. And also, I want to go back and just stress that, and that's something that Sotiris and Eva really mentioned yesterday, and what we heard this morning from Victor as well, is what about the farmer and the stakeholders? So I think after 5 years, it's nice to see that they're still engaged. They've not just dropped off, and still keen to be part of what we were discussing, so that's really encouraging for us as well. And I think they were quite pleased to be involved from the feedback we got this morning and yesterday as well. And again, going back that some farmers really want to keep some of the technology, and going back also to some of the discussion we had with the panel yesterday. And that's all I want to say. Thank you, everyone, for these 5 years. I think it's been a good project. It's not quite finished, but we're nearly at the end. The end line is in sight, so thank you very much.